Real business, real people, real stories. Welcome to Real Business Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Benenati. Todd Speciale is recognized as a record-breaking sales guru, top Fortune 500 expert sales trainer, but he's also listed as one of the preeminent new speakers in the world today. He has spoken on stages with names like Ashton Kutcher, Jack Canfield, Danelle Delgado, Ty Lopez, and Les Brown, just to name a few. He is the best-selling author of 2 books called The Things I Do Know and A Bathroom Guide for Closers, with his 3rd book soon to be released. Todd speaks truth into the hearts and souls of those who might question their worth. And because of this, I had the honor to interview him and find out what drives him, what he fears, and what makes him so special. Todd Speciale. Speciale. Italian, right?
Yes.
All right.
Everybody says special, but it's Speciale.
Well, you're a special guy, regardless.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, brother.
So let's, I tend to ask questions about who you are, what you do, and so forth.
Sure.
But on this episode, this podcast, I want to do something different.
Okay.
And I just named it Rapid Fire. It's going to be rapid fire. You come back at me. I want to get your reaction.
Sure.
But before I do that, I know who you are, what you do, what you're about. But briefly, to those listening or watching, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're from.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up in a pretty tough area in upstate New York, moved to Missouri for about 8 years, and ended up going down to Florida in 1998, which I'm reside here now. Been doing sales my entire life. Got into sales training, realized that I love helping people. Came from a pretty rough world in the gambling industry and was, growing up in pool halls and ran illegal poker games for about a decade, and came from a kind of world where people don't think is real. They think it's just a movie, if you will. But I learned the art of negotiation through that process, which helped me in the sales world and kind of connecting, I guess you could say, the gambling or street world to the corporate world was a huge plus for me. So I started elevating pretty quickly in a lot of different sales divisions with other companies, and I realized that helping people was my passion, which right now I have my own company, and my company is growing, Make Sales Great Again very quickly. We do a lot of sales consulting for big companies. We do sales trainings for car dealerships, insurance, timeshare companies, you name it, we do it. And I do that personally, and I bring a group of people in to assist me with doing the training, but that's pretty much it, man. Sales training, we do a lot of motivational speaking and speak at a lot of cool events, so it's fun.
I heard your story about the gambling, and I don't know if you watched that movie Molly's World or
it's literally my life.
That's when I heard your story and I watched the movie, I was like, oh my God, this is Todd right here.
Yeah.
So
a little more ghetto individuals, but it was not as high class
she was
clients.
High end, right,
yeah,
right.
But yeah, same concept, same world. Yeah.
Cool. So you're listed as one of the preeminent new speakers in the world today. What makes you different, I believe, is your high energy, your rawness, and you're really trying to promote real change. That's down to the core, right?
Absolutely.
Of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're obviously a son, a father, husband, author. You got 2 books, right? And I believe you have a 3rd one coming?
That's very true.
Is there a title to it or not yet?
Yeah, it's called The Reality Is. It's 365 days of daily affirmations. So it's called The Reality Is, The Truth in Daily Affirmations, because I feel like a lot of people do some generic versions of what a daily affirmation is. Make sure you high five your friend and stuff. For me, I kind of took the writings of where I started in the motivational world several years ago when I was writing a motivational post for just a small team of salespeople to get them pumped up for the day. Turned into 20 people and 50 people and 100 people that were getting tagged into these posts because they were asked to get that motivation. So I decided to put that in a book and have a 4th book that will be November, December-ish. But my 3rd book is just really daily affirmations, but it's the truth in them, because I used to wake up and write the first 4 paragraphs that came off the top of my head, just to try to help people. So it's pretty cool.
Now, what's for you, what's the difference between motivational quotes and really helping people change their mindset? Because motivational, you get all amped up, and then a day later or 2 days later, you're back to who you are.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between motivation and inspiration. right? So I want to be an inspiration for people to show them that the consistent wins can happen. Motivation is great, but motivation to me isn't going to change your lifestyle.
Only gets you so far.
Yeah, yeah, and but you need it though. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I don't want to be anybody get confused.
It's a tool in the shed that you need.
It's a tool in the shed that you need. But inspiration is really where you get the drive and the fire under you. Like my father, when he passed, inspired me. You know, he asked me certain questions.
And that
told
sticks.
Me,
Inspiration sticks.
It sticks.
Right.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Because anytime that I want to give up or I want to stop or anytime, and trust me, those of you that are listening, you'll get there, right? Unfortunately, right before you're ready to have that breakthrough moment, you'll be ready to quit. It happens every time. And I tell people that because it's just a part of the process. You know, when you fight through that, it's not motivation, someone high five and you say, hey, keep going. It's that inspirational moment in your life where you took an opportunity to say, it's because of that moment, you know, that one inspiring moment that I took my life and I just thrived and I elevated because of it. Because every time that I feel like, you know, not doing what I'm supposed to do to succeed, I go back to that day with my father and go, oops. Dad's watching. Right. You know what I mean? So that inspires
That's
me.
your why.
Yeah, that's my why.
And keeps you going.
Yes, sir.
And you have shared the stage with some impressive people. Ashton Kutcher, Jack Canfield, which I love. I love his book, Principle of Success.
Yeah.
For me, that's my go-to book, especially
cool.
Chapter 1. Like, take 100% responsibility for your actions. If you start blaming everybody, you know, it just takes you.
100%, brother.
Ty Lopez, Tom Bilyeu, and Les Brown. How was that sharing?
So it's pretty cool, man. I mean, there was some other people like Steinbrenner, you know, owns the Yankees. It was cool to follow these guys on stage and be a part of that. Les Brown and I had an event in Tampa, and they have slots where you speak. Mm-hmm. And there's the noon spot right before lunch, which is kind of an anchor position when you're speaking. And then there's the end of day spot, which is the position that you want to have, right? That's the closer. That's the person that gets on stage. That's the powerhouse. You want people to leave wanting more, right? Well, Les Brown had that spot. I had the noon spot. So it was an honor to have that. But being on stage with these guys, you learn a lot about who they are as individuals. You know, there's a lot of really, really amazing people out there who have done some powerful things. Some people that I love, the rawness in me. Some people that I think are just full of crap. You know what I mean? So, but these people that you've named are all just powerhouse individuals. My mentor and coach, Janelle Delgado. To see her on stage, with Grant Cardone and Bobby Castro, which a lot of people don't know who Bobby Castro is. Bobby Castro is just a powerhouse investor, entrepreneur, just probably one of the strongest individuals you've ever met in your life. Is one of my just go-to guys when it comes to finance, in the world of that. But it's been cool to speak with these people. Ashton was he's an introvert actually, which is crazy to think, but they all do some really, really cool things as far as giving back. And one of the common things you see speaking on stage with these people is they make enough money to win and thrive, but make enough money so you can give back. And a lot of those people do, and those are the people that I like to be around. So it was an honor to speak with those guys. I mean, I was a no-named individual in 2017, still growing now, getting my name out there. But to be able to do that was definitely a pleasure. So
awesome. What an experience,
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right. Are you happy?
100%. Yeah. I'm 100% happy, man. I feel like I wasn't for a very long time in my life, if we're being honest. It's a tough question for people to ask. I've been asked that question a few times, and I know why people ask that question, because you have to be happy within yourself before you can make others happy. You've got to be truly and purely happy in you and what you're doing. For a lot of years, I was working with companies that didn't make me happy. I was getting up every day and I was selling things that I didn't believe in. I was providing services to people that I don't necessarily think I would buy myself, right? And then you realize you're like, man, I'm living a life that isn't truly me. I'm not living my passion. I'm not doing things that allow me to thrive at another level. Because if you're successful at something that you don't have a passion for, imagine how successful you'll be if you do something that you do have a passion for. So I had to make that pivot in my life. And I had to do it because I was no longer going to be in an environment where I didn't feel I was gaining the best of who I was. So now that I am, to see the impacts that you have on life is worth more than any paycheck in the world.
It is.
So I'm happier than ever. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Good to hear that. Okay. If you can change something in your life right now, what would it be?
Wow, good question. Obviously, this would be the normal answer for anybody that's ever lost anyone, but that'd be bring my dad back tomorrow.
I'm with you there.
So and I'll give you a different answer to that because I'm sure that's everybody's answer is to bring someone back that they love, But my dad always was, and I've said this many times, the richest man in love. They just, my parents weren't really good with finance, didn't make a lot of money. But I'd bring him back because he was such an inspiration to me on a daily basis. Because when I was young, my dad was very successful, lost everything. Then they went into depression, and my mother and father were on antidepressants since I was 14 years old. And my mom got breast cancer, my dad, et cetera. So two things. A, I would definitely bring my father back. And B, give myself a platform to touch many more lives. Because I feel like if I could change something in the world today, it's how to understand the marketing process, right? When you grow as an entrepreneur, it's very important that you understand the things that you're good at and that you get help for the things that you're not. But the problem is ego gets in the way of that, right? I know everything. I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody. To even where my beautiful wife the other day says, babe, you can do this on your own. That's a compliment coming from my wife, right? It's a huge compliment from her. But I looked her in the eyes and said, babe, the thing that's allowed us to be as successful as we are today is that I removed my ego and started learning to get a coach or a mentor or provide people in my life that can provide the things that I need to succeed that I can't provide. So when I say get a bigger stage or a platform, it's because for so many years, I was writing a motivational post on Facebook and reaching X amount of people,
right?
Not realizing that time could have been spent doing something different to enjoy a platform where I can reach more people. You reach more people, you make more money. You reach more people, you impact more lives.
Correct.
You impact their lives, they impact others. So I would say, obviously, bring my father back and have a platform to just touch many more lives and have a bigger stage or have the knowledge to have had a bigger stage sooner.
Excellent. Have you read, because you mentioned ego, have you read Ego is the Enemy?
I have not, actually.
With Ryan Holiday?
I have not. Yeah, I have not.
All right. He's a stoic, probably like Tim Ferriss as well.
Sure.
But he wrote a book about that, about ego being your enemy and how it hinders you.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
If you like to read, obviously that's a good book.
Definitely love it. Look it up.
What are some of your morning routines? What does Todd do? What are your habits? What are your morning routines when you get up? What time do you get up, and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm up probably about 5 a.m. every day, and I had to train myself to wake up without an alarm clock. So I get up like this at 5 a.m. It's an internal alarm clock. I'm trained to do it, and I did that because for a lot of years, the biggest thing for me was hitting that snooze button like 4 or 5 times. And I'm not sure if you know who Mel Robbins is or the 5-second rule, but look her up if you don't. Mel Robbins is an amazing individual, very, very, very intelligent. But Mel Robbins has a 5-second rule where she said people that hit that snooze button 5 or 6 times, and if we're being honest, Rob, I don't know if you've ever been there, but you've sent, I used to set like 4 or 5 alarms, right? So if the first one went off and stalled, the second one would go off and the third one would go off. I just kept doing that instead of hitting the snooze button for many years because my life I wasn't passionate enough about my life in order to just say, I want to get up. I wasn't excited to get up, right? So I was like, oh man. And a lot of us have been there, right? It takes inspiration and motivation to get up out of bed, right? So my morning routine is basically simple. I train myself to get up every morning without an alarm clock. I don't use an alarm clock at all unless it's during the day when I send something on the calendar, sort of like this podcast today. Just a little reminder, 10:30, let's go, head down to the podcast.
Just to keep you on track because you're so busy.
That's it, yeah. The other part of that is when I get up in the morning, I do a 7-minute ab workout because fitness is very important to me. I've recently lost about 39 pounds. I was very heavy for quite some time and decided that fitness is going to be a major part of my routine because I preach that having a mental and a physical combination of success is how you really thrive. But my mental was there, but my physical wasn't. I was letting that go. And if I'm going to preach it, I better do it, right?
Correct.
So every morning I get up, do a 7-minute ab workout. I fast 4 days a week for about 16 hours a day, which is pretty crazy, 1 meal a day. And then I get up every morning. As soon as I get up and I do my 7-minute workout, I do my daily gratitudes. I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every day. I write down 3 goals for the day. and this is probably the only time I'll use the word realistic, because I hate when people say set realistic goals. It's just, there's a lot of people that limit the growth of individuals because they say, well, if you don't reach it, then you're going to be discouraged.
Right.
I completely disagree. I'm on the thought of set unrealistic goals. You want a private jet. You want to own an island. I want you to set these goals for yourself because you can get there and you can do it. The problem is that when you set a realistic goal, once you reach it, you think, okay, well, what next? You know what I mean? I want to set unrealistic goals, always something
you want to challenge yourself, yeah.
Every day. And I want you to believe that you have an opportunity to get there. Don't just write the goal down and just make it a dream. A dream's different than a goal, right?
Two different things.
Two different things. So I write down 3 goals for the day, and I write down realistic daily goals. That's the only time I use that word because, I want to spend 2 hours in the gym today. I want to burn 1,700 calories. I want to get on 10 more webinars within the next 3 days, right? I want to set that up today within the next 3 days to help kind of create this brand and impact lives. And then third one may be, read 7 chapters in a book. So I write down 10 gratitudes that I'm grateful for, no negativity at all, 3 goals every day. And then at the end of the day, I will write down at least one good thing that happened to me that day. There's no negativity in that book at all. And the toughest challenge for me when I started doing that was when my father died. I had to find something good in that day.
That was a tough one.
Imagine that, right? Yeah. And it was crazy when I trained myself, I actually get the chills talking about it because I remember that day like it was yesterday where I literally had to find 10 good things that I was grateful for the morning of my dad's funeral. And then 3 goals that I was going to do that day based on my gratitudes. And then at the end of the day, what I was grateful for that day, something good that happened. It was really tough. But when you get that mindset, the negative stuff kind of go away. Mm-hmm. So when I wake up in the morning, I do my ab workout, do my 10 gratitudes, write down my 3 goals for the day. That's my main thing. And then midday sometime I take a 30-minute or an hour break and I either listen to an audiobook or I read at least 30 minutes a day. So it's either read or listen to an audiobook. Mm-hmm. And then obviously at the end of the day, I write down my goals. But I also, if we want to add in like family life, there's an hour or 2 hours at least every day. I'm not sure if some people have seen it or not on my stories, but I'm with my daughter and we either outside playing or we work out together. It's very, very important that you spend that quality time. There's nothing that will ever get rid of that. So that's kind of my daily routine for the day. Yeah.
Awesome.
Every day.
Totally agree with you. I mean, quality time, family, that kids grow fast. And then you look back and like, what happened? They turn 16, 17. They don't want to spend the day with you. They want to do their own thing,
They do.
But what you said about, having to write those 10 gratitude things and your goals the day of your dad's passing, I think those are the moments that you have breakthroughs and you grow, because that's a big challenge of that day. It's easy when everything is, fine and dandy and you're happy.
Of course.
But days like that, and you have to really dig in and find out what you're really happy for or grateful for.
Yeah.
Those are the moments I think you have breakthroughs and you start anchoring that mindset of finding gratitude and being grateful. And so
it becomes a routine, right?
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with people that are ungrateful, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but as ungrateful, what I mean is that they don't. It's crazy how one negative thing can happen in your life and you forget about all the good stuff.
Yeah.
It does. You can have so much good in your life, but you lose your job or you get in a car accident and you train yourself to say, you probably don't know that you're training yourself, but you are, when you say, man, this stuff always happens to me. I can't get a break and all this crap, right?
Right.
All that does is just remove and relinquish all the good that you have in your life, and you don't even think about it. When if you really sat down and thought about it, you're like, wow, that car accident.
It could have been worse, right?
Could have been worse.
Right.
The losing my job, I'll get another one.
Something better.
Yeah. Things happen for a reason, but you forget about all the good in your life. So it's good to train yourself to be grateful. Yeah.
With all that in your routines and all that, and the next question for me is, do you have a vision board?
I do.
And if so, what does it look like?
Oof, wow. So a little personal. I got some personal stuff on there, but I'll tell you the stuff that I'll share with you.
Okay, good.
But yeah, my goal is to own $1 billion of real estate. So I want to buy $1 billion worth of real estate, and I'm going to do that within the next 5-year plan. My 90-day to 1 year plan on my vision board is to change lives. Like I think for me, the most important thing is people have these cars and beautiful houses and stuff like that in a vision board, which is great because I do too, right? I had a vision board where I bought, I wanted my dream home and I bought it, right? And I'm living in it now, thank God. I wanted my dream car and I bought that. I'm driving in it now. Having those goals are great, those materialistic things, but a vision board for me is more personal. So I want to, I guess what I'll share with you on the vision board is I want to impact 1 million lives. That's my goal, and that's my 5-year plan. I'm hoping to do it in a year because I take challenge very, very well. But I want to impact 1 million lives, and I want to do it in a positive way where whether they work with me as a coach or a mentor or through my sales training, my lives that I do on Sunday and Wednesday, I want to touch people's lives in ways that they know that there's more out there, that there's more that they can do. So the other stuff is a little personal on the vision board, but I'll share it with you.
That's good enough. That's good enough. And you just mentioned you do your live on Facebook Wednesdays and Sundays. What time?
Yeah, I do Wednesday live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
guys, if you're listening, you have to log on to Todd Speciale.
Yes.
At Facebook, that's
yeah,
the page.
It's my personal page, but we're actually moving it to my business page probably within a week. But we're building that now. But if they go to my personal page, it will be there for about another week. Okay. And then we're going to move it to my business page.
Yeah, you got awesome stuff you put there. So
thanks, brother.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You did say that you read. You try to read every day. If obviously you do read, so. What type of books do you like to read? Are they self-help or they're nonfiction, or some people that are in business need to get released somehow, and they go and they read something that has nothing to do with business or self-help just to get them, relaxed.
For sure.
What do you read?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I hate to read, but I push myself to do it. Like I'm not a reader at all. I like audiobooks. Okay, so I've listened to tons of audiobooks. When I'm working out, I listen to audiobooks. My release isn't necessarily books. My release is YouTube. Listening to Les Brown or listening to some different sales strategies, just some different things, which isn't so book and like prepared, right? It's listening to people on stage, The Rock, some real fun stuff. That's my release, right? The books that I love that I've read are, and again, you can call audiobooks reading, but I do read. It's a form.
Said.
Yeah, right. I do read at least 30 minutes a day. I force myself to do that to try to train myself to enjoy it. But The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of my favorite books.
Steve Covey,
unbelievable. It's just one of my favorite books that are out there. Crushing It by Gary Vee, believe it or not. I'm a Gary Vee fan, not fully loved. Like I'm sure if everybody don't love everything I do as well, but Gary Vee's a great dude, so I love reading Crushing It as well. But it can go from motivation to inspiration. It pretty much stays there though from business. I probably listened to the audio version of Rich Dad Poor Dad 20 times. So I'll go back and I'll listen to certain things that I really enjoy because as you know, when you listen to stuff, you only retain about 30% of it. So you want to listen to it over and over and over again. But my release is definitely more YouTube-ish or motivational sides. I don't listen to a ton of music, even though it's good. Every now and then I do, but your car is a mobile university. So if you're driving around all day,
why not learn something while you're driving?
Something. Yeah.
So what's your drive? And I'm not saying what do you drive.
Yeah.
We know what you drive. but what's your drive? What's really your that thing that gets you going?
Man, I'll tell you, when I was working for a company a long time ago, I came up with the slogan, put the people before the paycheck, right? And I've been using it a lot because that's been my entire life is life's too short, to live half of what you are. And I feel like when I put myself in a position to win, I started realizing the money and the success and the fame of people knowing your name and people want to take pictures with you. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. Right. It's pretty cool, right?
It keeps you going.
It does.
Right.
It gets us. We need motivation, inspiration as well. But man, when someone literally calls you and says, dude, I don't even know what to say. It was because of your guidance that helped me just literally change my family's life. I'm taking my family on a vacation to Disney World. If they live in another state or whatever, some crazy vacation because of what you did. And your guidance. It's without a pay. Maybe it was a Facebook Live, maybe it was something. It's what drives me daily is changing people's lives. because when I realized that the sales world has a bunch of ego-driven people, right?
Yeah,
That's what life's about,
it does,
right?
Yeah.
Life is a lot of ego-driven people. They think they know everything, and you go there and they ask you for help, and then they try to train you on something, right? It's like, listen, always be willing to learn, because I take it, right? I learn stuff from everyone. I'll learn stuff from anybody, right? But I speak in a way where there's no ego involved. So when I go into, Fortune 500 companies and I'll train sales teams, a lot of people, they gave me this nickname of the culture creator, because I made it a fun environment and I wanted to see them win. Now, although they're paying me to consult, the biggest blessings are from me is when I'm doing something on Facebook or Instagram or one of my social media outlets where someone messages me and say, like the other day, I hadn't talked to this girl in 25 years, went to high school with her, and she sent me this big, long paragraph on Facebook Messenger that says she was going to kill herself until she read one of my inspirational posts that realized that there was more to life and that she needed to live for her children.
Wow.
Like, imagine getting that, right? Like, there's no paycheck, there's no amount of money, there's nothing that can change that.
You saved a life. You didn't change a life. You saved a life.
And again, getting chills talking about it, it's crazy, to be honest with you, Robert, because I sit back and I look at it and I go, if someone would have wrote me a check for $1 million or said, you stop someone from killing themselves today, what would you take? And a lot of us politically are going to say, well, I'll just take the save the life.
Right.
When there's a lot of people that truly would take the $1 million, which is sad.
I agree. Yeah.
For me, I'm never going to choose the $1 million. What drives me is saving lives. And I want to leave a legacy where my daughters know that the way I grew up, that your circumstances don't have to define your future and who you are, as cliche as that sounds, right? Because we hear it a lot. But implementing that into my daily process has been how I win. So my drive is changing lives, impacting lives, and knowing that without a monetary benefit to me, that I'm going to change the world, and my daughters will know me as that guy. That's my driving factor. So
great.
Yeah.
So in business or on any venture you take on, how do you know when you have a good idea or the right idea?
Yeah, good question. So this comes into having a coach or a mentor, right? So we all think that we've got the next golden ticket, right? And today, millennials want to be millionaires tomorrow. They don't want to work hard, right? Oh, you have no idea. I got this get rich quick thing that's going to make us tons of money right away. Some of those, the 1% of that work, right? Mm-hmm. So don't ever, I always tell people, don't ever get rid of good ideas, right? It could be that one idea at 1% that you're going to make $1 million tomorrow. So never stop dreaming, implementing those ideas and asking someone how to do that. Again, it refers me back to having a coach or mentor. Dude, I thought it was all just crap for so many years of my life, right? It's all motivation, inspirational. These people are just going to take your money. They're not going to help you. I can do it on my own. I'm a smart guy. I'm from the streets. I have skills other people don't have, and blah, 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 blah. I was wrong. I wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on trying to do it myself, believing that I had that next program, that next idea that was going to just change my life and my family's life forever. My drive at that time was money rather than a legacy of just impacting lives. So when you see the dollar bills, you think, oh, it's the best idea. I can make tons of money. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then you try to do it and then you fail. And then you try to do it and you fail. And you don't realize what you're doing or how you're failing. When had you just had a coach or a mentor, someone that actually builds businesses, builds brands, right? You may have a great idea, but you may not know how to actually implement that and act on it, right? So I always say, before you take that next step to do something that's going to drastically change your life, whether it's in a good or bad way, you need the opinion and guidance of someone that you respect. And most of the time, that's going to come from someone other than your friends or family. That's going to come from someone who you are investing in, paying for, right, as a coach to give you the real advice. Because if you're paying me as a mentor, I'll be like, Robert, that idea is shit. Okay, there's 500 other people doing this right now. You either figure out a way to make yourself different, right? Or find something else to do. And don't waste any money on it. Don't even waste another second thinking about it. Or, Robert, that's a great idea. There's 500 other people doing it. I want to know why you're going to be different. Tell me why you're going to be different. I want to know, what about this product? Pitch me right now how you're going to be different. And I'll let people kind of pitch me, and I'll say to this, because this isn't the first time that people have come to me with a business idea, and they'll say, hey, what do you think? And I'll tell them, like, listen, great idea. What makes you different? And unless you can answer these questions, right? How are you going to implement it? What's your next step? Do you have a roadmap to success to get to that dream or goal that you want to do? If it's not written down, if you're not prepared to do that, it's just thought, right?
Right.
You've got to take a thought, put it on paper, get some guidance for someone that's done it. Because for me, look, I'll be very honest with you. I did not know a while ago how to build brands and businesses online. Didn't have a clue. I mean, I knew that I could go up against Cardone. I can go up against any of these guys in the sales world. I know that. That's what I'm good at. There's a lot of stuff I'm not good at. But you want to throw any objection at me? You want to go head to head on stage in the sales environment? No problem. Let's go. I knew that was my, but I didn't know how to monetize, right? How do I turn what I'm good at into monetizing?
Right.
I don't know how to do that. So what did I do? I paid a lot of money for a business coach to help me and to give me the guidance that I needed. And it's crazy how quickly you monetize when you make the decisions to invest money into yourself instead of looking for that free training. So there's a lot of people, oh man, I can go out and tell you how to do this business. Man, go take this free training. Go do that free training from that guy that's free. Well, that free training is going to funnel you into a sales training. That sales training is going to funnel you into a business training, which is okay.
But that's the thing. I think that's the thing that stops a lot of people from hiring or finding a mentor or a good coach. There's so many out there that they tell you this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and you end up spending so much money and not getting anywhere anyway.
2 years vetting process for me.
So it took you 2 years.
2 years.
To find the right person.
Find the right person.
Yeah, there you go.
2-year vetting process. So for me, unless I know someone specifically, like we talk about mutual friends that we have, right? Someone comes to me and asks me for a piece of advice, they're going to trust me because they've seen my success, they've seen where I was and see where I go, because they know me. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about someone who doesn't. They don't know me. Who have you worked with? What have you done? Can I talk to people that you've helped? But unless you have this ready and prepared and that vetting process is there, it's just like in any sales industry. The minute you walk into any place, car, insurance, real estate, it doesn't matter what you're doing, they don't trust you. You got to build that trust. You got to build that relationship. Unless you're a referral from somebody else, and guess what? They still don't trust you.
Well,
but they're more comfortable.
It's human nature,
but it's gotten worse.
Well, yeah, because there's so much out there, and now with social media, you reach so many people, and it's like you go on Facebook, and I see, real estate coach. Everyone's a real estate pro.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
First, you have to show me. You go do it.
Yeah.
Show me that you're doing it,
Yeah.
and then I'll say, okay, then I can approve. That's my kind of mentality. Maybe because I'm in real estate, it makes it a little harder. But it's true though.
It is true though. You want people to you've got to see the succession and you've got to see the patterns. And because again, people talk about it not being the cars and the houses and stuff. Like, listen, we talked about Ty Lopez earlier. I don't know if you know his story or not.
Yeah.
But Ty Lopez was a fraud. He borrowed $50,000 from someone. He rented a mansion in Miami, rented 4 cars that were just, these these high dollar cars, a video crew, and Ty Lopez for 48 hours filmed a ton of content with that $50,000 and came up with a marketing program, used some of that money to market online, targeted advertising, and grew a multi-million-dollar company in 30 days. And because he lied.
Right.
This is my house. This is my car. This is everything. The fake it till you make it program. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that don't like him for that. Me, that's a hustle. You got out there and you said to yourself, I'm going to come up with an idea I want to reach people. And the only way that they're going to see me is it because we live in this materialistic world where they want to see the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and the $10 million home on the beach, and they want that life. Everybody wants that life. They're lying to you if they say they don't. They want that life. He figured out a way to be seen. He wasn't a fraud as people talk to him. Did he make up owning that stuff? Yes. But it was a marketing genius move because he said, listen, I got to show people that it's possible. And then the content that he gave out was really powerful content.
It was, yeah.
So for him creating these programs and what he did, dude, high five to that guy. Because there's people that are always going to not like him because they said he was a liar. But guess what? Those people are still not living the lives that they can live because they didn't take a chance like Ty did.
Yeah.
So when it comes to vetting a coach, you've got to be able to do that in a process that makes you feel like that's the person that I want to work with. But don't stall too long. It took me 2 years because when I first started speaking, there was a lot of people in the speaking world that says, Todd, oh my gosh, I heard you speak. You're going to be the next big thing, next motivation speaker, next this. A lot of them are full crap. But I had to take that, and I found a lot of them that had stolen money from people. That was the main reason for filming my show Gut Check in LA. I've since changed that because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
But there were so many people that were robbing people in this guru world, whether it's sales training or motivation or whatever. So we want to be different.
Yeah, it's tough out there, you know.
Yeah.
For me, Ty's story shows me evidence of his marketing strategies, of what he shares. Because
Marketing genius.
what he did, yeah, he lied, right? But it was a technique to get where he needed to get to. So
sure.
you learn from that process, not from the lie itself.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
look where he got him. So
Sure.
if you take those chances, you know, it takes you to the next level.
It does.
Yeah.
And you look at a guy like Ty, and I'll say this, the last portion of that is that Ty's the type of guy, there's not a business person in the world. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, before he passed away, they didn't take a risk. Ty took a risk. And that marketing strategy is what's made him rich. Now, if you look at the lives that he's impacted since then, the people that he's helped, listen, I'll be honest with you. Ty can listen to this right now. I'm not a Ty Lopez personal fan, right? Well, I'm not a fan of him as a person or an individual. We
Right.
have different views of life, right? But as far as his skills, you got to commend his skills and his knowledge of what he knows best, which is marketing.
You have to give him credit. Yeah.
He's unbelievable at marketing. He's took his platform and he just scaled it. And he scaled it tremendously. But he also offered programs that literally impacted lives. So to me, I'm a math guy. How many people were mad that Ty lied or did this marketing, scam?
Right.
One time. And then how many lives did he impact in a positive way because he was strong enough to say, okay, I'll let people judge me if they find out that I did this, which they did, and a lot of people did judge him. But how many people did he impact? How many lives did he touch because of that in a positive way? The positive side completely outweighs his marketing scheme to get to those people.
I agree. I get it. Yeah, I get it. How do you handle adversity or doubt when you are in doubt?
Man, so it kind of takes me back to my father and my daughters. I wake up every day, not having the main drive that I feel like. Everybody's like, man, you're so high energy, and you go, this is me. I don't do drugs. I don't drink coffee. I have a non-sugared energy drink every now and then, but I'm that guy that I get tired, believe it or not. Like it takes a lot of hard work to do what we do, right?
At what time? Like 10?
Probably about midnight-ish after I get up at 5 a.m. But yes, I get tired like everybody else. But I remember waking up sometimes and I'm doubting, like, am I making the right moves, right? Because I'm a single income provider for a family of 5. You know what I mean? So if something happens to my income, our whole world ends. I've always had my back against the wall, to earn and provide for my family. And when I start doubting if this is the right move, I say, well, wait a second, I can do anything. Because that was the nice thing about spending a lot of time with Les Brown, who to me is the number one motivational speaker that's ever walked the face of the planet. Okay. He's just an unbelievable soul as well. Mm-hmm. Horrible business person, but an unbelievable soul. He takes you and he makes you believe there's nothing that you can't do, which truly there isn't. I mean, listen, I'm not a marketing guy, right? I didn't help people build brands, but I learned how to do that, right? And I thought to myself when I did it, how am I going to show people how to monetize online and build businesses unless I know how? So I studied that like crazy for 2 years and became an expert in it. So when you know that you can do anything, there's not really a lot of doubt. Okay, so I don't have a lot of doubt in my life. Okay, when I have in my life is scared. I get scared when I take that another step, right? But I push through that because scared to me is like an adrenaline rush. It's like jumping out of an airplane right before you do it. I love that feeling. So my drive and determination on a daily basis completely crushes or demolishes any thought of doubt. Because that scared factor in me allows me to thrive.
But you're scared because you're going into something unknown?
Sure.
Or
absolutely. Like if I want to start, like here's the thing, like someone said, dude, you got to pivot with COVID, right? So what I want you to do is I'll tell you a quick story. When I first started doing sales training and they said, man, you got to do a free webinar and you got to do it live, okay? And I was just, well, I can do it live on the phone, no problem, right? Because I had already done it. When I first went live, dude, I was scared shitless. I was like, is one person going to watch? Is 2 people? And I didn't realize that having 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 to 100 people watching a live on Facebook for an hour is good. I thought that was bad. I was like, dude, there's millions of people on Facebook. I only got 100.
Right.
But then I look at people like, again, the Les Browns or the Ty Lopez or the Jack Canfields or the Victor Antonios or the Bobby Castros or the Danelle Delgados, right? And you see a Danelle, she's got 137 people and she's got millions of followers. I didn't realize that was good. So I was scared, right? I can talk to a sales team of 500 people. I've been in environments where I've been on stage where there's 10,000 people in the audience. I have no problem doing that. But when you're looking into a lone camera and you don't know if anybody's going to watch.
That doesn't make sense.
You're scared.
But you have to think, you're recording live, but that stays recorded and other people could watch later.
Yeah.
And it could be shared.
Absolutely.
And you have to think, because we start judging ourselves, right?
Yes.
But what happens, like you go live on Wednesday at 8 p.m., 9 p.m.,
Wednesday, yeah.
9 p.m. on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I might be doing something. I'm busy. I can't be on my phone or on the computer watching you.
Yeah.
I'll watch it, later, 10,
Sure.
11 o'clock later,
Sure.
So, or the next day. But we start thinking, oh my God, I wish I had, 1,000, 2,000 people watching
everybody
me right
at once
now.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
that's not always the case. But
the scaredy, that just so you know, because whoever's listening, when you're scared to do something,
is that good?
it's so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's like when I get on stage, you get that feel. I still get it now, and I'll speak in front of 1,000 people, no problem. But I get that that butterfly
Jittery,
effect, right? That's a real thing. But what Les Brown taught me before I went on stage is he said, the minute you don't get that feeling of scared or nervousness or that butterfly effect, find something else to do. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, because that feeling means that you care about what they care about. You want to give them information. You want to speak into their souls. You're hoping that they're liking what you're saying. That's a great thing, because you want people to be impacted by what you say. You want it to be so good that they hear you, even though you're on stage. So I started using that as a massive tool, because I was like, oh my God, I'm scared. Is it nervousness? It was not nervousness. I want people to hear what I have to say, and I want to impact lives.
Because you care.
Because I care. So that scared thing, it's a good feeling.
It's a good thing. Okay. To follow up with that, how comfortable are you with failure?
I've done it so much, I think I'm an expert. I won't say I think. I know I'm an expert at failure in a lot of places in my life, dude. Personal, financial, relationships. I have failed miserably. And I think that without failure, you can't succeed. And again, these things that I'm saying, I'm going to say just like this. There's a lot of times when I go live and people hear me say it a lot. I say, there's nothing that I'm telling you that's new.
Right.
You're not going to hear me say something that you've never heard before.
Right. Yeah.
But you will hear it differently from people that you want to hear it from. And what I mean by that is that if you tell me something about real estate, I may say, Robert is the expert in real estate. I'm going to listen to what Robert has to say. And then I go to another real estate guy. He doesn't have your personality. I don't listen to him as well as I listen. I don't hear him, right? I'm listening to him, but I don't hear him. I may hear Robert. So it's regurgitated information.
Or at the time that you're live, for me, for my time in my life, my stage of my life, that's the moment I needed to hear whatever you had to say.
Fact.
Not when the other guy said it. It wouldn't
100%.
have changed it wouldn't have impacted me at
But
that time.
people get impacted by people that they can relate to, right? That they see success by.
Right.
So in a lot of cases, when you're speaking to people and you're saying to yourself, like, man, why isn't this person coming to me? Why isn't this person? And again, you're judging yourself based on that. Dude, you got to be able to realize that people are going to listen or hear you. So, having that type of understanding through failure is a massive thing, because without failure, you can't thrive. And you've heard that. You can fall 8 times is getting up to 1. And all these cliche quotes, right? They're all real, though. So you can't succeed without failure. It's impossible.
I've said it over and over on this podcast, and I always say it. For me, failure, I don't take failure like that. It's just a way that I found out how not to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's why you succeed.
Yeah.
But if you take failure as I was defeated, then it messes up with your mindset. But if you said, well, I failed 2, 3, 4 times, well, those are 3 or 4 ways not to do it. Let me find the right way to do it.
Well, to your point, if you look on any one of my posts or hear any time that I'm going live, I don't call it failure. I call it learning days.
Yeah, experience.
There's no failure to me. It's just learning days. But yeah, I'm super comfortable with. Matter of fact, I hope that it comes in my life more often, because you're right. You learn so much from the failure. It just guarantees that once you continue to fail, your process to succession is going to be almost flawless.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it.
What's something non-negotiable for you in your life?
Time with my loved ones. It's non-negotiable. So spending time with my family, this is the real in me. I took the step into entrepreneurship because I wanted to create more time with my family. What I realized is that I was working a lot harder through entrepreneurship than I was when I was working with a corporation.
Well, you're much happier.
I was so much happier doing what I love and my passion. And there's a lot of times my daughter will come in and she'll be on a live with me, or she'll be on the, and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like, my daughter could walk in, nobody's saying your kids can't be here, or Todd, you got to be here from 9 to 5, or you got to do this, you got to do that.
You're taking your kids to work.
Taking my kids to work, yeah. Non-negotiable to me is spending time with my family, because you have to release. You have to. One of the biggest things my mentors taught me is you got to take a day at least to release. We're working 7 days a week. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I said, well, I'm going to turn the phone off today, or I'm going to not answer somebody. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. Or I'm going to forward it to my assistant to handle until I get there. And then that day I'm on the phone more than I was the day before, because I was just so conscious and wanting to impact lives. I didn't want to take the day off. But she says, my mentor, you got to take that day. You have to take that day or that time and spend time with your loved ones, and do it unconsciously. So that every single day your non-negotiable is being with the people you love most, because that's why you work so hard, because tomorrow's never promised. So that's my main non-negotiable, is spending time with my loved ones, because tomorrow's never promised. God forbid that car accident happens today. Right. God forbid. Right. We don't want to talk anything into existence. I know that I can lay my head to rest knowing that I spent time with the people I love most, and that was the most important choice in my life.
I love it. Awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Powerful. I'm going to follow up with that and go back, because
sure.
you said something. So, and it might be the same answer, but how do you reset yourself? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Or is it monthly? What do you do to find that energy to get right back in your head and be able to keep helping people?
Yeah, do a free training. And I know that sounds crazy, but I love sales training, right? And I love helping people. I love helping people build brands, build businesses online. That's what I'm good at, right? So when I can show people, because I've done it, on how to monetize and how to build a brand and a business online, when I can show people how to do that, that's how I earn an income. I always tell people, you got to pay to slay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because these people want these free stuff, and a lot of my free webinars, and I'm just going to be honest, a free webinar is giving you bits and pieces of what you have to pay for, right? Because I did the same. It's not just because we want to earn and make a living. It's because people don't realize that when I do a free training, 10% of those people are actually going to use it. Why? Because they didn't pay for it. They got nothing invested into it. Right. I'll go back and redo it again. Now, you spend $25,000, $100,000, $200,000 for somebody for training. Trust me, you're going to use it. Things change, right? How about kids that go to college? I spent $60,000 in your education. Your ass better be in class at 8 a.m. learning, right? And when you get out, you better get a degree, because that would be wasted money, right? Mm-hmm. And no one wants to waste money. That's the reason why people have a hard time spending money on programs or sales programs and stuff like that, or anything, real estate, anything to better themselves. Because man, what if it's just a waste? Well, it's only a waste if you don't use it. So when I do a free training, I tell people that when I reset is when I say, you know what? I'm going to do my $500 course, my $1,000 course. I'm going to do it for free. You better jump on. I'm going to do it in an hour. That's it. And I'm going to do everything that I do in 8 weeks, in 2 hours online. I'm going to do it for you for free. I'm going to do it right now. And sometimes I'll do that and people will jump on. I'm like, oh man, that felt great. Because here's what happens when you train. You start realizing when you're impacting and talking to other people, the reason why you started. So let's put it this way. Where you're in sales, I'm in sales. Mm-hmm. If someone's brand new to sales, you and I have forgotten more than they probably will ever learn about sales in the next decade. But when we're selling someone, we start pitching, and our pitch changes at times, whether it's real estate, right, car sales, timeshare, whatever.
That happens. Yeah.
Why? Because we forget a lot of the good stuff that we used to use, right? We forget, damn, that was good. But how about when you're training someone? When you're training someone, you go, and boom, it all starts coming up. Robert, this is what I would do, and this is what I would do. And then you go.
So when you're training someone, you're training yourself at the
You
same
are.
time,
You're
basically.
reminding yourself about things that made you successful, and you're reminding yourself of why you started to do what you love to do to begin with. So when I'm doing those free trainings, I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I used to do this and I used to do that, and then I get this energy again. I was like, dude, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
Right.
That's me. It may not be for everybody, but I remind myself, and I tell people this as a tool. In a lot of my trainings through habits, I tell people the habits are the most important part of anybody's day, no matter what industry you're in, whatever. You've got to create those habits. It's a very good question from the beginning. But I tell them one of the biggest habits for me is taking time to give back. That's taking a program that I'm getting $20,000, $30,000 for, and I'm giving it to them for free. And I'm telling them, take it, run with it.
Take advantage
The sad
of it, yeah.
part is that a lot of them don't. The good part is that it helps me reset and realize why I love what I do.
You did your part.
Did my part. Yes, sir.
Todd, I mean, we went over non-negotiable stuff, but what are some of your rules? Do you have any rules that you stick by?
I don't think so.
In the house, with the family, with your business, with yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think rules and habits are kind of coexist, right? Because, they are different, yes. But my rules are kind of like my habits. Like my non-negotiables is kind of like a rule, right?
Right. Okay.
So for me, fitness, now that I'm losing weight and I'm trying to get, and I still want to lose another 15, 20 pounds, I want to get to the point where I am in a position where I never thought I could be. Like, I've never seen an ab because I'm short, right? I'm 5'9", 200 pounds. And when I gain muscle mass, I gain it in my upper body and my shoulders, but I gain all my fat in my core, right? In my stomach, because I'm short. There's not a lot of room to spread it out, right? So I gain it in my midsection, but I've never seen an ab. Never have I ever seen an ab. And I promised myself, I'm going to see an ab. So when I started losing the weight, my non-negotiable was I'm never going to go back to the way that I was. Never going to go back to that. So I think rules and non-negotiables change as you grow, right? You add some, you take some, you add some, you take some. If I could give someone an unbelievable rule that you should never change, is allowing your mental and your physical education to coexist on a daily basis. That's one, I guess you could say, rule that pretty much is a broad spectrum, but it covers everything for me because I'm going to learn every day. And I'm going to stay fit every day. Now, do I have my cheat days where I eat that cheeseburger and fries?
Yeah.
Of course I do. Yeah. But my non-negotiable, or one of my biggest rules, is combining mental and physical health every single day, guaranteeing that your education is going to allow you to rise, to stay on top of your game. So that's a big rule for me.
Great stuff.
Thank you, brother.
Digging a little personal, and I know you're very, you're open, you're vulnerable,
Sure.
Your ego doesn't get in the way, but what do you fear?
Not being loved. So it's pretty crazy because, the tattooed tough guy that was punching everybody downtown 15 years ago, running illegal card games, hanging out with hustlers and very ghetto individuals, would never say that.
Not being loved or accepted.
No.
Because you said at the beginning your parents were millionaires in love, right?
Yes.
So you never lacked that, but
no, that's not true though. Okay,
no?
So I was given love from my parents, unlike any other.
Right.
Accepted and loved can be similar. Okay, they're not the same. It's not about exception. I don't. There are people that are going to accept me, and there are people that aren't,
and you're
that's
okay with that, right?
What I'm not okay with is people saying that they don't care if someone hates them. Okay, I don't care if they hate me, they think bad of me. Yes, they do. Everybody does. Okay, right. Everybody cares what people think. Right. Let's get that straight. Whoever's listening, people that say that, they're like, I don't care about what people think. I'm my own person. I'm a tough. No, you do, because by you saying that, you're proving that you care, right? But being accepted is a little different. Now, someone hates me. My first thing in the old days was the tough guy. I was like, screw him. I don't need him in my life. Okay, that can hold true. But my newer kind of concept for people that don't like me per se, or have heard made up things or make up their own stories about it because they just don't like who I am, because that's going to happen as you grow your brand. Yeah. Is I want to help them first now. Like, I want to help them, because when you help a hater, They become your biggest success story ever and your biggest supporter, right? Like he hated me or I hated him and this guy changed my life, and they're the biggest support of your entire life. They'll help you get more business. They're by their side. They praise you when you help them because they didn't know they needed it, because the haters and the people that talk that type of shit are the ones that need the help the most. Their egos, pride, they are dying to be accepted, right? And prove they need attention. That's what I saw, and I know this because I was them.
What you're trying to say, they hate from their own perspective, from their own life?
Sure. There's a lot of people that are out there that hate people or make stuff up because they're uncomfortable or insecure about where they're at in life. Okay. I feel like that's where a lot of hate comes from, right? I feel like a lot of people that are out there have the potential to be more, but because they're not there yet, and it goes to the old saying, you want someone to do well, just not better than you, right? When you live from a completely opposite standpoint where I want everyone to do better than me. I really do. And I love it when they do. When someone says, man, what if that person surpasses you? Then I've done my job, right? Like if that doesn't get me business, I don't know.
That's the purpose of all this.
That's the purpose, right? Let's help them rise. So I fear not being loved, to get back to the original question, because I lived a lot of my life without it in the areas that I felt that I needed it. Now, my parents
that makes sense.
Loved me on multiple levels. But my first wife, right, that relationship wasn't great. We're both young, right? We didn't know who we are. She's a good person. I'm a good person. Things happen, right? Mm-hmm. But we were slowly splitting apart because I was 16, she was 15. We first started dating. We were together 13 years, right? We didn't even know who we were as people yet, right? And I started realizing that I'm like you. I'm a hugger, and I'm a Italian Irish guy, right? I always tell people that I'll fight everybody in the room and I'll cry while I'm doing it. I'm an emotional guy, but my parents never let me leave the house without hugging or kissing them. That was the rule.
Right.
My ex was very non-affectionate. Right?
Distant, cold.
Very distant, very cold, and didn't mean it in a bad way.
No.
But I just couldn't accept that because I needed that love and support from her in a way that I wasn't receiving it. So what I fear is not being loved is one day my wife doesn't love me anymore. Maybe, there was mistakes that I made or mistakes she made. We just grew apart. I fear my daughter is not loving me. Daddy is not the person I thought he would be. I fear, friends and family questioning the man that I am and not loving me the way that they should because of stuff like that vulnerability post that I've made mistakes in the past. That's my biggest fear. Are my mistakes going to determine the outcome of my future? Never. But when you make those mistakes and you fear not being loved, you're trying to live every single day of your life making up for stuff and mistakes that you've made in the past so you can be loved in the future. And a lot of people say to themselves, don't beat yourself up for the past, but it's easier said than done. Right? Yeah. Like, because so many people have made so many mistakes. But when you're not fully loved, you can't fully thrive. And when I'm at my best is when I'm getting so much love and support and compassion from my wife and my kids and the people that and my mentors and my mom and dad and that's when I'm my best, right? Is we love you. We're behind you. We want you to win.
High. Yeah.
But I fear that if I don't have it, I fear it, yes, but I know that I can't succeed without that love and support, because you're right. My ego in the past few years have just gone. That's why I'm okay to say stuff that I've done in the past. I'm okay to let people judge me. I'm okay letting them know that I've made horrible mistakes in my life that have guided me to be the person I am today, because I wouldn't be who I am without making those mistakes. So I'm okay with that. But I fear not being loved, because it'll to me, that I don't know if a life's worth living without it. That's me. So
awesome. I usually ask from 1 to 10, where's your ego at? But there's no need for that question. So.
Well, no. Let me chime in a little bit on that,
right.
Because there is a difference between good and bad ego.
Well, there's a difference between ego, arrogance, and confidence.
Sure.
Right?
Call cognitive, call whatever. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But, all right.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
Well, no. I there's no need to ask, where your ego is from 1 to 10. But
well, so here's the deal. People people see me, driving around in my dream car, and like, oh, the guy's got a Bentley and he's got a big house and he's living in this prestige neighborhood and all that stuff. All that stuff doesn't mean shit to me. Don't get me wrong. I wrote a post today that, money and all the fame and all the stuff doesn't impress me. Humility, giving back and having a loving heart is what impresses me from people. Right. Ego, the bad ego, because people talk about there's a difference between ego and cockiness, arrogance. There definitely is, but can ego and arrogance be the same thing? 100%. But you have to have an ego to succeed, but it's got to be a good ego. It's that one that says, Robert, I know you're in real estate because I've done a lot of real estate trainings for some really, really cool companies, right? And when I go in, there's a lot of very successful people like yourself that I sit in front of and go, this guy's not going to tell me anything that I haven't already heard, right? But the way that I get them to implement some of the practices that I do and that I've had top record-breaking real estate agents implement into their careers, and it's worked, is them coming back to me and going, dude, you know what? I didn't think I was going to get crap from you. That's a bad ego, right? Because that's not being willing to learn, not being a good ego is knowing, Robert, I'm extremely good at what I do. This isn't arrogance. This isn't cockiness. I'm asking you to be open to listening to what I have to say so I can help you win. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not the expert in. This, I am. That's a good ego. Like when someone says, dude, you wrote these books. You're a writer? Nope. There's so many grammatical errors in my books. It's not because I self-published them, right? But I wrote these books because I wanted to touch lives. I made them easy reads because I wanted people to get through them in an hour, 2 hours, an hour and a half. I wanted people to do that to win because I wanted them to get an impact and see me for who I am. I wanted to write that book so people could hear it as if I was speaking it.
Right. You wanted it effective, right straight to the point.
That's it.
Not a 300-page book.
That's it. Yeah. And then so people say to me, are you a writer? No, but guess what? It went Amazon bestseller for 9 months. It was, I have a picture of it right above Grant Cardone's 10X and right below Russell Brunson's, .com secrets. Coolest thing ever, right? From a guy that's not Grant Cardone or Russell Brunson. So there's a massive difference between good and bad ego. It's okay to know that you're the expert in something. And it's okay to tell people, I'm the expert in this. I'm that good. I'm the best.
And that's confidence too.
Confidence, yes. But the difference to me between confidence and ego is that being confident is great. I feel like you have to have some sort of an ego to show people that, listen, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. That's ego. Confidence is, I know that I'm good at what I do and I'm going to get you to be that way too. Ego is proving to you that I have. Go talk to my clients. I don't care. They'll tell you I've helped them rise. Go talk. That's ego.
You have to have a little bit of that.
You got to have a little bit of good ego because without that, you're too timid at life, and a lot of people aren't going to want to work with you because the truth is, people want to work with winners. Any way you look at it, people
but leaders,
want to work with people.
Right?
Yes, winners and leaders. Yes, sir. So big difference between the two.
What would you improve about yourself, about the Todd?
Oof, gosh.
Something maybe you've been thinking of and said, you know what, I need to get better at this, or.
I guess my faith. My daughters were in a, going to this church called Lake Mary Church in Lake Mary, Florida. And the pastor there is Pastor Shadi. He's an Arabic Christian pastor, which is really cool. And he's an unbelievable speaker, an amazing soul and human being. And another guy pastor there is Pastor Tom. Used to be working at LA Fitness that I used to work. I've known the guy 15 years. He's seen me at my worst times and in my best. I've known him very, very long time. I saw how the faith changed his life. When my daughter Addison started going to the church more and being like a youth leader and stuff like that, I saw so many positive and amazing things change in her life. There's been a real struggle for me with faith for a lot of years because the only time I prayed is when I was like, God, why me? Why is this? Please help me. I need something.
Or you need something, right?
I need something, right? And my faith was pretty much non-existent to the point where I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, is God real? All this bad shit is happening to me. You know what I mean? Like there's this and the poker games. I'm getting robbed at gunpoint. I'm doing this and all these stories that have happened in my life. And I'm like, why would a person that people love, thrive, for and live their lives for ever do this to people? I didn't understand it. So I made a choice in January to take a 12-week biblical course, and I went every Monday to my church and sat there for an hour and a half. I'm sorry, that's not true. We got there at 7, sometimes we leave at 9, so 2.5 hours, as Pastor Shadi would teach a biblical course that allowed you to grow in faith. Mm-hmm. And man, there was this sheet that like lists everything, dude. It was like all the mistakes, like a word and all these mistakes under it. Like, have you done this? Have you done that? I was like, I mean, can I just check them all? Like check. It was very serious stuff too, because it's in the church, and they've been doing this procedure evidently for many, many years, where you list what you have, and then at graduation you light it on fire. You know, you're saved, and your life changed. You're based. God's saying enough's enough. Okay.
You're forgiven.
You're forgiven. Let's take this stuff. Let's throw it out the window. Let's not look back. Let's move forward. And I was never really in true touch with my faith because I didn't know enough about it. And I'm a history buff. So like actually going there, it was really cool. Like I've traveled to 43 different countries. I love to travel. That is my entire life. I've got to touch it. I've got to see it. I've got to feel it. Right. I enjoy that. But actually learning about the Bible, because if I'm being very honest, I'd never read a page in the Bible. Not one page. You know what I mean? Like
it was lack of knowledge. It was just lack ignorance. Of knowledge. It was just
100%, dude. Yeah. And the only time my parents and I ever went to church was, Christmas and Easter growing up. You know what I mean? There was a Catholic environment, and that was it. So
Easter Sunday, yeah.
If I had to work on anything, it would be my faith, and it's always a constant growth in that, because I really don't even feel like I'm still at where I am or where I want to be in my faith, because I'm so accepting of other things that have changed in my life. I have to work more on faith and realizing that I put everything in the hands of God to be like, yo, because look, am I going to be the guy that's at church every single Sunday with my hands in the air and praising, jumping up and down? No, it's not me.
Right.
But I need to know that there's a higher being and someone out there, which I do now, that has our back, that these negative things happen for a reason. That only comes through having faith, that that the bad stuff is going to lead to better stuff. So I need to work on my faith. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're on the right track.
Thank you, sir.
What has been the hardest decision you've ever made?
Oof. The day that my ex and I split up, having to talk to my 2 daughters and say, Daddy's leaving. Dude.
Been there.
I get emotional now even thinking about it, because my older daughter Avery was even though it was the right decision, definitely was the right decision. Allowed me to find the love of my life, to move forward. But at that time, you don't know, right? So like, for those of you that haven't done it, and God forbid it should ever happen to you, at that moment, sitting down on a couch, looking at a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old and they're crying their eyes out because they don't understand, right, what's going on, was the toughest decision I've ever made. It was the right one, but it was the toughest one. And it took me 5 years to fight for custody of my kids, and because I was running illegal card games at the time, and my ex and I went through a bad battle and whatever. But I remember that day like it was yesterday, and I could not stop crying because it was literally the toughest decision I've ever made.
That's hard.
But I went into, a state of depression after that for a year, sat in a small room, blacked out the windows, cried 12, 13 hours a day thinking there was no life left.
Because of that?
Yeah, because I split up a family, a broken home, and I promised myself that my kids would never be in a broken home.
So that's when you realize what is important in life.
Dude. It's everything. Family. Like you say, non-negotiable. Spending time with the ones you love most. It all coincides with who I am now. And it took a while to learn it.
When was the last time you did something for the first time?
I do a lot of stuff for the first time, actually, man. So I guess there's different categories. Like I was in Dubai recently, and I did one of those tiny helicopters that flies you over the Burj Khalifa, and like there's no doors on it, and you're strapped in. You're like, what the heck? And the helicopter is smaller than like a Mini Cooper. It's like half the size of a Mini Cooper. Yeah. That was crazy cool. Skydiving, and I do a lot of stuff. I'm a firm believer that you have to stay focused through adrenaline. That's just me. Like I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love that stuff. but I'm scared shitless every time that I do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, well, I'm a tough guy. I go up and jump on a plane. No, scared as hell. But you've got to get scared through the breakthroughs. You know what I mean? Like you've got to have a breakthrough because you're scared. So I do a lot of stuff for the first time. Like when I did my gratitudes, I started my gratitudes. I was like, man, write down 10 things I'm grateful for every day. Like what a racket that is, you know? But then I started doing research and I was like, man, it's
powerful.
Every elite, wealthiest entrepreneur in the world, from Bill Gates to I'm telling you, to kings and queens in other countries, to Elon Musk, they all do it. It's a habit-based system that is non-negotiable for them. And I said, well, if there's no coincidence that they're this rich for a reason. Their mindset has got to be in a different place.
Different level, yeah.
So I do a lot of things.
For me, I'm a fan of Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, for sure. Love Tim Ferriss, yeah.
I've read his book, The 4-Hour Workweek. It changed my life. And just reading his other books, like Tribe of Mentors,
sure,
where he interviews like top performers, like the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
And they all have one thing, a few things in common, not one
sure,
thing.
Yeah,
but it's the journaling, the gratitude, the exercise, the fasting. That was and meditation.
Yeah.
Those were like the top 5 things for anyone that's successful in life or have just a different lifestyle.
And it's hard to change, right? So like when you do it, you say your first time, which is also obviously a very good question, Robert. But, when I sit back and I think about it, like the changes that I've had in my life were struggles for me. Like if someone says to meditate, like
keep your mind blank,
if
right?
If you'd have told 50, meditate, dude, my mind is going like this 24/7. Like it does not stop. I can't sleep. I wake up every 2 hours because I can't sleep. But if you look at like saying Todd Speciale 15 years ago was going to meditate, the whole world would start cracking up laughing like, he's not going to meditate, right? But you're right. I take time now, and I really do. I take 20 minutes of peace every day. Just nothing but pure quiet. I go into my studio, and I breathe and take and that came from a buddy of mine, Paul Blanchard, who his dad is Ogmandino, right? Like he's a monster, like huge success story, wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's an awesome book. If you haven't read it, you should. But these are guys that helped guys like Zig Ziglar, and Bob Proctor and like these different people kind of grow, right? But Ogmandino is awesome. Paul Blanchard is one of the most brilliant business minds I've ever met in the world. He's super, super intelligent. But he went through a process of how to breathe and release, and I do that every day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of helped me. So yeah, these habits are there.
I believe Tony Robbins has an exercise like that.
Very similar.
Early morning,
yes.
Just the breathing techniques.
Yeah, there's a lot of them,
right.
and they work, whatever best ones for you. But yeah, man, there's no coincidence that these elite people have the same habits. They do it for a reason. I mean, it goes all the way back to Dale Carnegie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's crazy to see that, but it works.
The way I sometimes explain meditation is, everybody thinks it's sitting down like a Buddha, for an hour or two.
Yeah.
I've been playing English is like, you work out, right? So you work out in the morning, you got up early, you did what you had to do. And then throughout the rest of the day is what you do dictates what you did in the morning. So are you going to have, junk food, or are you going to eat healthy, right?
Yep.
So that's a form of meditating throughout the day. So for me, when I meditate, it could be 10 minutes, or 15, 20 minutes. And it's kind of keeping me in track and visualizing the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So then when I go throughout the day, if anything changes and disrupts that peace, I kind of set back into that morning routine I had.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a form of meditation throughout the day.
I love that.
It's just a lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's kind
I
of
love that.
Kind of like a lifestyle.
Well, it's a training too. And I always tell people in training, we talk about people buying programs and talk about people's success and investing money into themselves, et cetera. When you do that, there may be programs out there that, again, you've heard it a million times. There may be stuff out there, but reminding yourself of successful habits and procedures is how people win. So I still spend thousands of dollars on programs outside of my courses. I'm Todd Speciale. I don't know it all. You know what I mean? Yeah. I sure as hell don't. I want to buy programs from people, my mentors and coaches, which my mentor's mentor is Tim Grover. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Like being on the phone with Tim Grover and going, is this really Tim Grover? Like that's a wow moment, right? And it's pretty cool to see that, because having conversations with a Danelle Delgado and these great business minds of the world, and watching them and how they've risen, and they help other people do the same thing. You ask each and every one of them, inclusive of Tim Grover, right, who has a mentor as well, that these people that are massively successful have mentors that they pay tons of money to, because the ROI on that investment is much bigger long term, because I've already seen it happen. Right? Like if I pay Danelle $25,000 to work with her for 3 days, right. People are like, what? Like, that's crazy. It's I get her longer than that, but that's me with Danelle, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day. Like, I just got back from Colorado at her house, and people are like, what'd you do for 4 days? It was like, dude, did you go out to eat? No. Everything was ordered in. It was business the entire time, because that's what she's best at, is showing people how to monetize and build business online. And obviously we're launching new programs and stuff. So in order to do that and take that time, it's huge. You can get so much done when you're working with someone else, right? That is a master in one field, you're the master in the other. Yeah. So you got to constantly train. That meditation, there's no difference.
And just bouncing things off someone else, it's very important.
Dude, it's so important, yeah.
All right, I could keep going on with questions. I'm going to go over with the last one here.
You got it.
What do you think you're sacrificing right now to do what you do?
Time with the ones I love most. Goes back to my non-negotiable. So, like, I feel like...
You feel you're sacrificing that in order to do what you do?
Because, man, I want to get to the point where... Okay, so if you look at Tony Robbins, right now, Tony Robbins has so many courses, an amazing person. Now, Lauren LaHave was the MC for an event that I spoke at in Naples called Unstoppable a couple months ago, and I was there. And Lauren LaHave was the MC for Tony Robbins for 30 years. She was the person that pumped the crowd up to get Tony ready to come out and change lives. Tony's older now, right? And he still speaks, and he's out there doing what he does. But Tony now is taking so much time, and he did an interview a couple weeks ago with a buddy of mine, and it was crazy to hear his story. He was like, I sacrificed so much time that I could have spent with the ones that I love most. God forbid something ever happened to them in the future. That if it did, am I always comfortable in knowing that I did what I was supposed to do in giving them the best of me, my family, my loved ones, giving them the best of me in the time that I had. But God willing... And thanks to God that my life has been in such a successful forecast that as I grew financially and as I grew mentally and physically in my life, I'm now at a point where I'm not working 14 hours a day and then 2 hours with my family anymore. It's flip-flopped. I'm 14 hours a day with my family, 2 hours working. So he said the goal for me was sacrifice, and I'm kind of stealing this a little bit from Tony, just being very honest, but I believe
you relate to that.
Totally. He says, dude, you're sacrificing time. Like, Robert, you could be home with your family right now, but you're not. You're here interviewing me, right? There's things that we do, things that we sacrifice every day to allow ourselves to get to a position where we don't have to sacrifice time anymore, because we all have that clock, right? Eventually something's going to happen. People can say what they want. We don't live forever, right? How we spend our time, because it's the most valuable asset in the world, and who we spend it with is what you should concentrate on most in life. So to me, everything goes back to my family, my love for the people that I spend time with, again, which if you go back and you listen to this podcast, it's uniformity into what I was saying. What do I fear most? Not being loved. Right. But if I spend time with the people I love most, they're going to know that I love them. They're going to love me. That fear's gone, right? So everything relates back to that. I will never, ever sacrifice time that I can't sacrifice for time with the ones that I love. So I want to know that every minute that I'm not with them, I'm sacrificing time, happiness, love. So, but I'm doing it for a reason, like Tony did it for a reason, to flip-flop his time in the future. So
got it.
That's it.
Well, I'm going home with my family.
Yeah, man.
Todd, thank you so much. I am grateful for your time, talking about time. I know you stopped doing whatever it is you're doing. You're busy. Thank you so much. I know a lot of people are going to listen to this, watch this, and take something away from it, because there were a lot of questions, and we dug into who Todd Speciale is.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for the books.
Of course.
So more books for my library collection. I love it. I hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
And before we head out, where can people find you?
Sure.
If they want to hire you, talk to you, watch your live videos.
Sure. So at all social media platforms, it's just at Todd Speciale. So it's you can just TODD SPECIALE. So it's just like special with an E at the end. my website, same thing, toddspeciale.com. Guys, listen, I'm one of those guys that don't like to pitch my services, right? I don't like to say, come hire me, come do this, even though I'm the sales guy, right? I believe that people will choose people who they think they can thrive with by doing their own vetting process. So I'm not going to pitch you to take my course or buy my program or work with me. I want you to do that on your own. So when you come to my sites, and hopefully you will, come just to join the free lives and stuff, like see who I am as a person first before you choose. Don't ever jump into anything unless you know who I am first as an individual, and you can kind of see how I work. Just interview. Yeah, interview me, really. Because again, it took me a long time to choose Danelle Delgado as my mentor coach, right? But definitely go to my website. I am offering a free webinar that you can watch at your own leisure. That is a sales training webinar. It's the top 5 things, biggest mistakes that salespeople make.
What is it?
What, the webinar itself?
Yeah.
Well, if they want to see it, they can go to the website.
Oh, it's there.
It's there now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that webinar is something they can click on. It's an hour-long free training that I've done because I wanted people to take something out of COVID and come out in a better platform. Okay. So I can go check that out as well too. There is a definitely elite group of individuals. It's not going to be 100, 200 people that I'm working with that I'm going to kind of vet and see who I want to work with as far as my sales training program. That sales training program is usually $2,000 to work with me individually. And that's working with me for 8 weeks. So it's a pretty cool thing. It's going to be $500. You can either pay $497 at one shot, or you can do 2 payments of $297 if you have to make 2 payments of it as well too. I dropped the price again because it's the same value. You're working with me for 8 weeks. Okay. But I want to build in a group of elite individuals where they're going to get a private Facebook group. They're going to be able to bounce, legendary sales tactics off of each other. You're going to have homework. You're going to come out stronger and better than ever. But it's also going to do a free, I just recorded my audiobook for the things I do know. So it's really cool. So you guys can listen to the audiobook, which again, I hate tooting my own horn, but in my studio, I recorded that book on myself. I recorded that book myself. And I was really, really pleased because, I built a whole studio in my house to be able to record music and podcasts and et cetera. So you get the free audiobook, which is pretty cool. And then, you're going to get a huge discount into my Make More Sales Masterclass, which is a huge program that I'm doing that's going to allow people to just come in and thrive constantly year round to get me at their fingertips. I'm going to do live Q&As. I'm going to do a lot of different stuff. But again, the price that I'm charging for this, I'd literally do it for free if I didn't truly believe that if you don't pay for it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, do it.
I honestly
or get the best out of it,
or get the best out of
Yeah.
it. Like I honestly believe that, and I tell people all the time that there's elite sales guys in the world go, I don't need training. God, they're so full of it because I have helped record-breaking salespeople do things that they thought they couldn't even do. I've literally taken people making $30,000 a year to $300K. I've people making $300,000 a year to $3 million. Right? You look at it and you go, dude, it's not possible. Is this guy lying? Call him up, ask him. I mean, there's salespeople out there making more money than I made last year.
And the thing is, they have the potential, but because of their mindset, their belief, and their arrogance, and their ego, it's just blocking them. It's stopping them from growing.
It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And when I tell people all the time, like if you look at other programs out there, these 8-week sales courses, right? Dude, they're for $10,000, $5,000, $15,000. It's $500. And let me tell you something. It ain't because of the quality. You know what I mean? Like I have done massive research with my coach, right? And tried to figure out the mistakes these other sales courses are making that are limiting people and what they can reach. And it's crazy because it's always like, handling objections and doing this. Dude, relax, okay? I'm going to teach you how to handle objections in sales training too. But a lot of what I'm going to teach is so habit-based that it's going to get you in a position to win and just constantly rise rather than people thinking that entrepreneurship or the sales world is a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. That's what we hear from salespeople. All sales mediocrity, right? Sales is a roller coaster, up, down, yeah, good months, bad months. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be consistently rising if you just create the right habits and mindset and have the tools to succeed. And that's exactly what this program does. So definitely go to toddspeciale.com, check it out. You guys want to get involved, great. If you don't, that's okay too. I'm very blessed to have you there and honored on my lives. If they do want to find me, again, I do those lives on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday at 8 p.m. Sunday's usually more sales-based, but Wednesdays has been too, but it's more life-based, right? Which does tie into sales drastically. So I would tell people to join me in either one. It's a great thing. And then I have a Facebook group called Speciale Sales, which is a cool community that people just get there and gather some information from.
Are you planning? I know things have changed now with the COVID-19. Were you planning on being on stage again or doing some kind of event like that?
Yeah,
locally.
So it's I've been asked this because the first event that I ever did was the only one I've been here local. Everything else I've been in different places, and I'd spoken to Dubai and London, some other different places, which was really cool. But I want to get back to my hometown. You know what I mean? I've actually lived in Orlando 22 years now. I've been here longer than I was at anywhere. You know what I mean? Whether between Missouri and New York. So this is my home. I don't. People say, where you're from? I was born in Rochester, New York, but I've been here 22 years. This is my home.
Right, this is home.
So, and I do have the biggest support in Orlando.
And I think we need it here. Honestly, I think we need someone here locally. Everyone's from California, from New York, from other places. I think we need someone here in Orlando, and I think you're the guy.
Well, thank you, man. I've been getting a lot of requests to put an event together. So yes, we are actually shooting for September. It's definitely in the talks to have it done because I think that's about the time that everything's going to be opened up fully. People are going to be more comfortable, get into in a big environment together. And the speaker list that I have put together is, dude, it's on another level. You talk about setting goals. I'm saying to myself, okay, well, I'm going to get the best of the best, and I'm putting them on stage with me. So it's pretty cool. So can't mention any names yet, but we are building it. I will have it on my site for people to look at as far as time frames once it gets solidified, but it will be in Orlando. It is my main focus because I haven't spoken here since my dad passed away. And now this is kind of like the return of the Giants. We want to come in here and bring some powerhouse speakers to change people's lives locally. So.
Awesome. Wish you all the best. Look forward to that.
Thank you, brother,
and
very
I'll definitely
much.
be there. So I'll keep an eye out for that. Guys, if you haven't met Todd Speciale, you should look him up. Definitely.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks again.
Honored to be here, brother.
Thanks.
All right.
If you like the topic in today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on iTunes or visit Real Business Podcast for more information. Thank you. Until next week, stay real.